Most people spend their lives chasing a version of love that they never quite reach. Few actually decide to step into it. You're watching this because you're one of the few. And if you're here, there's a good chance that you know something that most people don't. That the gap between the version of the life that you've built and the love you actually want isn't an awareness gap. You're aware, painfully so. And it's not a healing gap either. You've done the work. It's something more specific than that. The most successful people that I work with, the founders, executives, athletes, creatives, they're not chasing fulfillment in relationships because of a lack of effort. It's because everything that they've tried to solve it with was working at the wrong level. So internally, something still feels distant. You keep attracting unavailable people. Your relationships begin with chemistry and intensity, but collapse the moment real intimacy is required. You long for deeper connection simultaneously while your body contracts. You repeatedly meet people who initially feel aligned only to later realize you're reliving the same emotional dynamics in different forms. And you eventually quietly arrive at the same realization that this is not an awareness problem anymore because you've already done the work. Therapy, healing, meditation, trauma work, retreats, spiritual practices, personal development, and tons of self reflection. And all of it helped to a point, but something deeper remained untouched because you can understand your patterns intellectually, yet still feel your body recreate them emotionally. And that's where many people begin to realize that something deeper needs to happen beneath your awareness. The real problem most people are trying to solve this relationship pain from the level of the conscious mind. But relationships are not created from conscious choice alone, they're shaped through our unconscious primary layers and conditioning, our attachment structures, our nervous system responses, our protective adaptations, and the deeper relational blueprint your system developed years ago to navigate the world that you were exposed to. That blueprint determines who feels familiar, what feels safe, how much intimacy your body allows, what you avoid, what you tolerate, who you're attracted to, and the unconscious emotional environment that you recreate. It determines how much love, how much happiness, and it even determines your finances and your health. And until this layer shifts, you're going to continue recreating the same emotional patterns beneath different circumstances. This is why someone can spend years healing, growing, and still find themselves experiencing the same emotional patterns. Because awareness alone does not automatically restructure the deeper layers shaping connection. Something deeper has to shift. And this matters far more than people realize because the relationship you choose shapes everything: your peace, your nervous system, your home, your future, your family, your vitality, your ability to create, your experience of life itself. And deep down, you already know that. You know that you don't want another relationship built around self protection, inconsistency, emotional guessing, instability, and emotional volatility, all disguised as depth. You want something real: real intimacy, real openness, real reciprocity, real partnership, real devotion. You want a relationship that matches the depth of who you truly are. This is exactly what the blueprint is designed to help you do. The blueprint is a deeply personalized private container designed to help you transform the deeper primary layers, shaping your relationships, intimacy, and capacity for connection. This is not generic mindset coaching. It's not performance, and it's not teaching you how to appear more confident, magnetic, or evolved. And it's not endlessly analyzing your pain, revisiting it. This work is about genuine transformation so that the love no longer feels like something your body has to defend against. Because when those deeper layers begin to shift, everything built on top of them begins changing too. Relationships change, choices change, the people you feel drawn to change, your emotional safety changes, your emotional openness, your openness changes, your capacity to receive changes. And often people are surprised that the transformation extends far beyond relationships alone. Because when someone is no longer living in a constant emotional protection, every area of your life begins opening differently. Leadership changes, creativity, confidence, vitality, presence all change. The way life feels from the inside changes. Inside the blueprint, I work with you privately, inside a deeply focused transformational container. This is highly personalized work. Sometimes we work weekly, Sometimes we do intensive multi-day sessions because it creates deeper momentum, deeper integration, and more profound transformation. Throughout the process, we begin to identify the world that your system developed around intimacy and connection. The shutdown responses, the hyperindependence, the emotional contraction, the avoidance, the overfunctioning, the identity level adaptations, and much more. And the goal isn't to fix you. The goal is to help your system expand and become more capable of intimacy, openness, safety, reciprocity, and connection, and love. And in the early stages of this work, you begin experiencing something you have not felt in a very long time, if ever. A deep experience and insight inside of these internal expansion. You begin understanding why your emotional patterns exist, why relationships have felt the way they have, why your nervous system has been reacting the way it has been, and why you keep recreating the same emotional dynamics despite everything that you know. And gradually, you begin to experience these all changing. So you stop confusing intimacy for intensity. You stop abandoning yourself inside of connection. You stop recreating the same emotional patterns that are painful. Your nervous system becomes safer around closeness and vulnerability. And the people in your world start to react differently too. Because when you affect change inside of you, you effectively change the world you're into. And eventually, you begin building relationships from a completely different place. Not from fear, not from self protection, but from genuine internal safety. And that changes everything. And I say all of this from lived experience. For over 12 years, I searched with everything I had. I traveled across continents. I was all over India, Australia, Africa, North and South America, Asia. And I sat with healers, teachers, spiritual traditions, the best that I could find. I took enough plant medicine to kill a buffalo, thousands of hours of deep meditation, fasts, detoxes, all the transformational work. And while many of those experiences were powerful, something underneath still had not been touched. And it wasn't because these paths didn't have value, but it was because none of them were truly reaching the primary layers where my patterns themselves were actually living. The unconscious relational blueprint shaping how I experienced myself, love, intimacy, and life remained untouched. And when I finally found this work, something shifted that nothing else had fully reached. And it wasn't a temporary high, it was a structural shift in how I experienced myself, relationships, connection, and life. The deeper primary structures moved. And when that happens, you feel it. And this is why this work matters so much to me, because I know what it's like to spend a decade searching for something and what it feels like when you finally connect with something that reaches the parts of you that nothing else could. Now, I want to say something very clearly. This work takes commitment. It will not magically solve your life overnight. This work requires a willingness, a genuine readiness for change, and an ability to show up. But what I can say is this: if you are truly ready for this work, and you are willing to engage honestly with the process, and if you allow yourself to be fully supported inside, the shifts can and will be profound. Because we are working at the deepest layers of the conscious self, where the patterns are actually created. And throughout the process, it's not like you're left alone inside to figure it out on your own. You receive deep support, integration, guidance, and a highly personalized process specifically designed for your system to create the expansion, the safety, the stability, and the real transformation that you need over time. Because this work is not about creating temporary breakthroughs, it's about creating lasting internal change. Now, because of the depth of this work, I only work with a very small number of private clients at a time. So every quarter, I take on 4 new people because this work requires real presence, focus, energetic capacity, and depth. I have limited spaces. So if something inside of this resonates deeply with you, if a part of you knows that this is the work that you've been searching for, then the next step is simple. Below this video, I've linked a full breakdown of the process, the different ways that we can work together, everything included inside the experience, and the next steps if this feels aligned. So read through it thoroughly, and if it resonates, you can submit an application. Because deep down, you already know there is another level of love, intimacy, connection, peace, and partnership available. And the version of you that chooses that matters.